Well, my interest in diving really started when my father took me to a movie house in Buenos Aires. I was 5 or 6, and I saw helmet divers in that movie. And I still know the name of the movie. The movie was called Barreminas. I was totally amazed. I mean, I was so amazed to see guys in a helmet, underwater, breathing underwater, and the bubbles coming out of the helmet. And they were connected to the boats, obviously, with the hose. And it was a black and white movie, obviously. And then my father had a book about a helmet diver, which then, of course, was my favorite book. It was written in German. I was too young to read it. My father read the parts that were interesting to me, and the photographs in that book were just amazing. Sharks, not live shark, a shark that was caught, octopus, orcas. They were drawings. They didn't, at that time, in those years, they didn't photograph orcas in their habitat. When I started to dive back in the 50s, of course, I didn't have a camera. That was absolutely out of the reach of anyone my age. Plus, I was not so much into photography. Then later, when I could afford to buy a camera, I bought a Nikonus 1, I think. That was in the early 60s. It was a camera developed by Jacques-Yves Cousteau, by the way. Before it was acquired by Nikon. It was called Calypso Photo. And and of course it didn't have a light meter, so I had in the first year I didn't have a light meter at all. I just guessed. The second year I bought a little light meter with a housing. That was very cumbersome, as you can imagine, because before you took a shot, you had to take the light and transfer it into the camera. It was really quite cumbersome. But I have to say, I was not really into photography. It was difficult. I didn't have the proper motivation to do it. Later in the Bahamas in the 70s, when I did a lot of spearfishing, once in a while I took a camera with me, just in case something would appear, something like a shark or a big fish. But I was not focused on photography. I was just spearing. When we got to the Bahamas 8 years ago, that's when I really started to take underwater pictures, because spearfishing was just on the side. Spearfishing was a means to get the sharks close, and obviously when I had the sharks, spearfishing was not important to me whatsoever. So sharks were always in my mind, but the combination of taking pictures and being close with sharks was really an experience that I've had only the last few years, and it's exclusive, really. I mean, I go now with the purpose of seeing sharks and of swimming with sharks and taking pictures of sharks. When I dive with the sharks, I always have my camera with me. Obviously, I want to get good shot, but you know, it's not really a mental process. I mean, I just take the picture if I think I have a right, you know, I have the shark in the frame nicely composed. But when I dive and there are sharks around, I don't think. And I don't think that I have a favorite picture. I like to see my pictures. It's a very private thing. I don't take the pictures, the little album, with me to show it to other people. It's when I travel, when I'm in a hotel, I take the album, I go through the pictures, and I just look at my babies. One picture is of that very small sea lion that just popped up and swam by and looked at me, looked into the lens, and I was lucky, I have to say, I was lucky to release the shot of that very moment, that little, it was a puppy really, that looked into the camera. I think that's a very touching, it's a very touching picture. I like it a lot. It's not sensational, it's not a shark, it's just an animal, it's a creature looking at you. And in a way, when you look at the picture, it's almost like you're looking into a mirror, because there's connection there. The other picture is a picture again of seals, two seals, a male and a female, going up to the surface and actually kissing each other. And that's also a very tender picture. These two pictures have a very human touch, I have to say. So I think the best way to convey the mystery of underwater is really taking black and white pictures. It is maybe a little more difficult. You have to concentrate more on composition and on the graphics of the photograph than with color. But I think it's much more rewarding, and when you see the results, I think most people are impressed with black and white, although nobody does black and white these days. Very few people. I think that, you know, there's only one way to photograph underwater, and to me that's black and white. Sharks are intelligent. Sharks have extremely keen senses, and sharks are not killing machines. They don't look like killing machines. They don't act like killing machines. It's just the media that has distorted the image of a shark. When you show the pictures of a biting white shark, it's not natural, because that is not, if you see a white shark in the water, he's not open his mouth and, you know, and trying to bite you. So these pictures are taken with baits, and of course it's much easier to sell a shark with its open mouth than seeing a shark cruising and just, you know, just being what it is, a beautiful animal. I think this type of photography is more appropriate to, you know, to make people feel closer to sharks as animals, or as creatures, or even as human beings. I could go as far as saying that, because the more you know sharks, the more human traits you find in them. But to me, a shark is not a shark. When I dive in Green Turtle Key, I see every shark every day, and it's the same shark, and it's like meeting a friend when I see them. So, you know, to me, yes, to me, sharks are very special animals, and they're like friends. When I go home, I think about the sharks, and I see these images. It's almost like seeing, like I said, it's almost like seeing the film again. She is a lady shark, she's a female shark, and I call her my lady. And it's true, I've seen her for 3 years, and since these sharks are territorial, and I normally go to the same spot, it's not surprising to see the shark every year. And it's definitely the same shark. Sometimes, you know, I can recognize sharks by marks on their body. Now these marks, obviously they fade, you know, within a year, but definitely, you know, this is the shark I've been seeing for 3 years in a row, and of course I hope to see the shark, the lady shark, my lady, again next year. She is fairly big compared to the other sharks. I think she is between 7 and 8 feet. It's hard to say, but you know, comparing with the spear, I have the spear next to her. The spear is about 5.5 foot long, and definitely the shark is, I would say, 2 feet longer. So it's a big shark, but it's not just the length of the shark that's impressive. It's the, you know, it's the body volume. It's an impressive shark. It's definitely a shark that you have to respect for the size. It's a shark that could do a lot of damage to you. But she's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful, and I believe that she recognizes me as well. I would like to believe that, but I think there's something going on between us, because she looks at me, I look at her, and we're both very cool. I mean, she came to me sometimes a little more curiously, perhaps even aggressively, and I had to push her away. But I have never had the feeling that she was going to bite me, and hopefully it's going to stay that way, our relationship, because a bite, even a love bite by her, would probably be a serious thing. Nurse sharks are like In Spanish you say animales de peluche. Nurse sharks are just, the most incredibly cuddly fish you can imagine, if you can call them fish. You can touch nurse sharks, you can hug them, and they seem to like it. They seem to like it. Not only do they swim away, sometimes they come towards you, and it's like, they want to be touched again. They want to be caressed again. It was a very clean cut. It was here, and it was just one bite. The shark did not tear. It didn't shake. Fortunately, it didn't shake itself. So it was an extremely clean cut. It was so clean that the nurse that had a look at the bite thought it was a machete that cut me. An excellent nurse, a male nurse that treated me, but he had to work about an hour and a half to get the blood, the flow of blood under control. The problem I have, the problem I really had was that I'm taking blood thinners, so that really made it very difficult for the nurse to stop the bleeding. Well, eventually he could stop the bleeding. He gave me some serum in order to revive me, because I was about to pass out in the clinic. 42 stitches and 8 stitches, to put the muscles together. My arm still feels a little numb, so I have to wait till the nerves grow together again. But as I said, it's one of the scars that I have in my body, not a big thing, but obviously it was a little stressful because of the situation, and because of the fact that I didn't receive first aid right away, and I was alone out there, which really should teach me a lesson. I should not go out alone, but I've done it again, and I will probably do it in the future. I will just be a little more careful. It's gratifying to see that people are inspired by my photographs, but it shows me that it was a good idea. It was your idea, actually, to go out and share my pictures with other people, because I never had the intention of publishing a book or going public, through the internet. But now I can see it. It has a little purpose, and if it helps to get more awareness that sharks are, beautiful animals and they need to be protected, that is, I'm happy with that. But to answer your question concretely, I should do more. I'm not really happy with myself just showing the pictures, and your question is very valid. There is a little more that I should do in order to feel that I could be of use.
Well, basically OceanicDreams, the actual name, started back in the internet bubble when a friend and Justin Hall and myself were thinking about a business idea of creating a website that would serve as a brokerage for yachts. And so I came up with a name that was OceanicDreams, thinking of, you know, boat owners love the ocean. Obviously that never worked out. I wouldn't be sitting here.
I think the name Oceanic Reef is very attractive. The ocean is something that fascinates most people, and to associate the ocean with dreams, I think is quite appropriate.
I told my dad, I'm like, hey, you know, I really think that you should put this up online. He really hadn't done anything ever to show it to the public or anything like that. He had no intentions of either.
First, when you suggested that we should go into the internet, I had really no idea what kind of a website it would be.
So then I had a designer who I worked with at Jara. His name is Guto. He actually did the website, and he looked at the pictures. He went diving with me a few times to really get a feel for what the diving was, the free diving that is.
The site itself, the visual aspect of it, is all concentrated in the imagery of the photography of Mr. Leander, and it was very easy to go through because the color was already there and the texture was already there. It was just how to design something around it and not, you know, to interrupt the flow already and of the harmony of the images.
Guto did an extremely good job in, you know, translating my photographs, black and white photographs, into the layout, if I may call it that way, of the website. The website is black and white, and the logo that he has developed is extremely attractive. It is eye-catching. It encompasses everything that oceanic dreams mean to me, at least. It is the circle where the shark and me are dreaming of the ocean.
We went through like 2 or 3 rounds of logo designs, and they went from basic, completely different renderings like framing and cameras and mask, diving mask, but I was taken away from what I was supposed to be, which was the passion and almost the focus point of the whole site, which is sharks and diving. And the elements just came together, and the photography inspired me to use the elements that were already part of the artwork of Mr. Leander.
He just took what he saw and made it into something that is round and complete. It's such a nice logo that I like to look at it. It is almost perfect. When I say almost perfect, I mean it is perfect.
Looking back and looking into the logo, of course, I had the idea, like for the diver, as he dives and he goes towards the circle, it's almost as if he's diving towards the infinite, towards the depth and just the blue ocean.
The website, as far as well, doing any of the updates, now maintaining it, is Guto. Obviously my dad. He's the one that provides, you know, the core of the photography, and that's a lot of work for him. I mean, of those 4,000 plus pictures that he has from one trip, he may only choose 1 or 2 that actually goes on the website. Usually the process is that when he sends me the pictures, he'll send me a larger group, and he'll ask me then to, you know, which ones I prefer, and I guess unanimously we decide which one should go up. Then I receive the pictures in the format, I send everything to Guto, and he does the update. And, you know, now hopefully we'll put this interview and this whole documentary up as well. It's really like behind the scenes of the website and the behind the scenes of my dad and all the people involved.
The biggest challenge is creating that storyline when you edit. I mean, I think editing is the final, that decides the story and the way the story is going to go. Between the image and the sound, that's what's going to grasp people's attention.
My idea beside the soundtrack is now, instead of making one repeating thing that goes over and over, we're dealing with longer segment which describes really an emotion, ups and downs, and I'm going to have to find a way to match different songs and different parts of songs along with this video clip. And you know, mix them one into the other together to make sure that everything is balanced, that what you're seeing on the screen is actually the type of music you're feeling at the same time, so that it can carry you along with moments. Well, for the website, it had commands that we needed a soundtrack that could play throughout the entire term of while you were viewing the website, that wasn't monotonous and wasn't repeating, and yet had something to do with water, bubbly sense type of sound, which is very difficult to come across. I use several software to bring and take the basses out of the sound and the trebles out and add echoes as to give a more bubbly type water feeling to the sound that I was using. When I first saw the website and the entire project itself, it's a very well done project. I fell in love with it immediately because it deals with nature and with beautiful animals of the underworld, of underwater, which is a place that I've grown up with and I love very much. And seeing the photography combined with this atmosphere that you guys have put it in, including the stories that you guys show and portray, it's really a very powerful image.
I think it's a lot of hard work that everybody's putting, and which is the result is this. You're seeing it. You're seeing on a website, and what's best is that everyone in the world can see it. Is very fulfilling personally, and I'm sure it's very fulfilling for everyone else. So I just hope, I really hope once this is done, they like the result and the final product, because I'm doing it with full passion, and I'm doing it, and I dedicate my hard work and everything to Mr. Wolfgang Leander, and I hope he likes what he sees at the end.
I'm just very thankful for Mr. Leander and for you for giving me a chance to work on the site, and sometimes I messed up things, but I'm so lucky to have that kind of chance, and having the chance to have worked on this project.
I want to thank, obviously, I mean, how can I leave them out, Benji and Guto? I mean, they've been great in putting up with me and my dad, which I know is not easy. But at the same time, I think it's made them do above average jobs as well. So I hope they appreciate it in that sense too. But I do want to dedicate this, all the work that we've put in this to my dad, and to just, you know, give him something back for everything he's done. For himself, obviously. I mean, he doesn't expect anything in return, but I think, you know, he's a person I admire and love very much. And